What if the most important moment at this year's Trooping the Colour wasn't on the Buckingham Palace balcony at all, but what happened after the cameras stopped rolling? Millions around the world watched the military parade, the flypast, and the familiar royal balcony appearance. It looked, at least from the outside, like another carefully choreographed display of unity. But according to royal expert Tom Sykes, writing in the Daily Beast, the real story may have unfolded once the public celebrations came to an end. He claims Prince William did something highly unusual. Rather than staying for the traditional private family lunch that normally follows Trooping the Colour, William reportedly left immediately with Catherine and their 3 children, George, Charlotte, and Louis. No lingering conversations, no extended family gathering, just a quiet, deliberate departure that has since sparked a wave of questions about what is really happening behind palace walls. If accurate, it raises an uncomfortable question. Was this simply a family deciding to hit home after a busy day? Or was it a message? Because timing matters. This year's Trooping the Colour arrived at a particularly sensitive moment. Reports had already emerged suggesting King Charles was trying to ease tensions surrounding Prince Harry's planned return to Britain, with sources indicating Charles had offered Harry and Meghan accommodation at a royal residence and was reportedly helping cover some of the costs connected to the trip. IB Times reported that William was informed of these arrangements shortly before the ceremony itself, and that the mood among senior royals on the day was, in one insider's words, markedly frosty away from the cameras. According to Tom Sykes, William viewed what Charles was doing as nothing short of a betrayal. Insiders cited by Sykes claim William has privately described his father as weak for extending yet another olive branch to the Sussexes after everything that has happened over the past several years. That is a significant word for a son to use about his father, and in a family where image and deference carry enormous institutional weight, it signals something deeper than a simple disagreement over a guest list. It is important to say that Buckingham Palace has not officially confirmed any of these reports, and much of what we know comes from royal commentators rather than official palace sources. But even so, these accounts have become central to the public conversation because, for many royal watchers, they fit a pattern that has been building for years. Charles often appears to approach this situation as both a king and a father. William increasingly appears to approach it as a future king. And those, as royal commentator Kinsey Schofield has argued, are not always the same job. A father may hope that broken relationships can eventually be repaired. A future monarch may focus instead on protecting the institution from further damage. That difference in perspective has become one of the defining tensions inside the modern royal family. And perhaps nowhere is it more visible than in William's relationship with Harry. Once, the brothers were seen as inseparable. Following the death of Princess Diana, they grew up under extraordinary public scrutiny and, for many years, appeared to lean on each other through unimaginable circumstances. Today, that closeness feels increasingly distant. Since Harry and Meghan stepped back from royal duties in 2020, the relationship has faced one very public challenge after another. The Oprah interview, the Netflix documentary, Harry's memoir, Spare, each chapter appearing to deepen the divide rather than heal it. Royal commentator Richard Fitzwilliams has repeatedly argued that trust, not simply disagreement, is now the biggest obstacle between the brothers, and that the brothers have not spoken since Queen Elizabeth's funeral in 2022. Insiders claim Harry has tried to reach out since. William, according to those same sources, has not returned the calls. Which brings us back to that reported walkout. Traditionally, Trooping the Colour does not end when the public broadcast finishes. After the balcony appearance, members of the royal family often spend private time together away from cameras. Those moments are not about public duty, they are about family. And if William chose not to participate, whether because of genuine scheduling pressures or the tensions described by Sykes, people naturally begin asking what that absence says about the atmosphere inside the family itself. There is also the question of Catherine's role in all of this, and it is one that rarely receives enough attention. Royal author Christopher Anderson has written that Kate spent years as the one person inside this family who who refused to give up on reconciliation, making what he describes as many attempts to bring the brothers back together, even after the most damaging public chapters. Royal expert Hilary Fordwich adds that people badly underestimate how much resentment now exists on Catherine's side, particularly given what she quietly endured publicly while fighting her own cancer diagnosis. Anderson suggests the final breaking point for Kate came after Harry's 2025 BBC interview, in which he openly questioned how much longer the king had to live. Sources say William was furious, and that Catherine finally told him she was done trying. So where does everything actually stand? Officially, the royal family continues carrying out its public duties. Publicly, the focus remains on service and continuity. But privately, the reporting paints a picture of a family carrying something very heavy, and a future king who has now made his position clear, not through a statement or an announcement, but through a simple, quiet decision to leave a lunch. Sometimes, the biggest royal story isn't found on the balcony where everyone is looking. Sometimes, it is found in who quietly walks away once the cameras stop rolling. Whether William's reported departure was a scheduling decision or a deliberate signal, one thing appears increasingly difficult to ignore. The path between where this family is now and any genuine reconciliation is longer and more complicated than any single invitation from Charles is likely to fix. And the family lunches that some members no longer choose to attend may be telling us more about the future of the House of Windsor than anything we have seen on that palace balcony in years.